used to be a way where partners were buying content in an upfront way at a negotiated rate. And now there's all of these different things that live behind a deal. All of those layers increase the complexity. But at the end of the day, there has to be a way to kind of distill the value of all this complexity that can now layer onto a deal.
I'm Stephanie Paterick, Editor-in-Chief of The Current, and in the studio today, we have an amazing guest. This is Taylor Ash, GM of Inventory Partnerships at The Trade Desk, and we are here to talk all things upfronts, ahead of the upfronts, so thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We're sitting here in 2025. It's an interesting macroeconomic year, a degree of uncertainty. I'm curious from your perspective, how will 2025 be different from previous upfront seasons?
Yeah, I mean, so the upfronts are evolving quite a bit. They historically used to be around fall slates that were coming out in the TV season, and now a lot of the eyeballs have shifted to streaming. So that's changed the complexity of what's actually being negotiated in the upfronts. And this year, more than ever, I think advertiser dollars are going to have to work a lot harder. And so how are partners layering on the changes that are happening in streaming, the scale that happens when you have so many shows that are released across the entire year, and then the combination of proving that your advertiser dollars are going to go further when you're buying that.
I appreciate you pointing out it's easy to forget that not that long ago, we all waited for a slate of new and interesting shows in the fall, and now it's, we've got amazing content rolling out all year. With so much supply out there, what does that mean for advertisers right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a buyer's market. That's pretty much how it goes. So there is a ton of scale, and there's also a lot of different channels that are also emerging, such as audio. I think one of the most important things for advertisers is to understand, okay, with all of this scale and great content, how am I deciding what is the right audience or impression for me to buy? And I think that's really where technology comes into play. So adding on metadata, content signals, identity, audience targeting, how is measurement and attribution coming in to really identify what is the right inventory for me to buy? The combination of the scale and the tech is really how I think you're going to get your dollars to work harder.
It's so interesting speaking about efficiency and deals. In some ways, I think that our media or our technology has evolved faster than the deals that sort of surround them or power them. So for one example, marketers are planning omni-channel strategies, but they might still be striking deals in silos. I'm curious what your view is on that. Are deals changing?
Yeah, so again, deals used to be a way where partners were buying content in an upfront way at a negotiated rate. And now there's all of these different things that live behind a deal, such as I want to buy this specific audience, or I want to make sure that this measurement partner is a part of that deal, or I want to have first-party data come from a partner. All of those layers increase the complexity. It's great for an advertiser. There's a lot of optionality for them to figure out what works. There's a lot of variety for them to know, okay, this is how I'm going to optimize my buys. But at the end of the day, there has to be a way to kind of distill the value of all this complexity that can now layer onto a deal. I think that's where DSPs have come into play. There's an opportunity to manage holistic frequency capping across all of these different publishers or all of these different deals that are established. And then really consolidate the way measurement is basically being looked at.
So can we talk for a minute about live sports? Because The Current has been covering this trend a lot. We're seeing a lot of sports programming move from sort of traditional linear to streaming platforms. What is happening, and why is this space heating up so much right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can't reach your consumer if you're only distributing live sports and linear, right? And so now when all of this content in live sports has moved into a streaming environment, it plays really nicely with all of the added value that streaming provides, such as you're able to target a one-to-one user. You're able to have all these additional insights into what happens when you're buying and streaming, and therefore programmatic. what that means is that there's been historically a barrier to entry on live sports. There's been sponsorships or minimum guarantees that have to happen in order to get access to that. And as these really high attention moments where you have an extremely valuable consumer, as they move into a streaming space, you now can be able to access them in a way that some advertisers were never able to put that on their budget before.
Okay, Taylor, I know you have a lot of opinions. What would you say is your most unpopular opinion about advertising?
Upfronts aren't going away. I mean, you still have them play a really big role in things like live sports, but there's a lot of great content out there, like audio, that isn't available to be bought through the upfronts. And, audio should be one of the channels that is a strategic role in any planning or buying. So I think, upfronts aren't going away, but there is a lot of really great places to get a high attention viewer outside of them.
Taylor, thank you so much for stopping by the studio during what I know is a very busy season to talk about the upfronts. I hope you come back.
Thank you for having me.